and I wore those myself. My nice kangaroo shoes, and oh, they were so soft. And I remember it was quite expensive. I saved a lot of money to buy them. I came back and my mom, but she got change with them. She wore them out.
Now, did your mom and dad always live there on Fifth Street?
Yeah, when we came to Colton, we lived further north than where we were at, and then they bought the house where we were at, and we moved there. We lived there.
Okay, okay. And Mary, your mom and dad, did they always stay at the house on Congress?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom died living there, and then my dad died. Well, he had signed it over, turned it all over to my youngest son, Mike.
Yes.
And Mike got real sick, and he couldn't do anything with it, you know, and his wife and sister-in-laws and that, they would all go on the weekends trying to clean and that, but he couldn't. He got Addison's disease, and he was on so much medication, and so finally he says, I'm gonna have to sell it, and the city wanted to buy it, and he finally ended up selling it to him, and then they made a parking lot out of it, tore the house down and made a parking lot.
It was a shame because
I don't know what the parking lot, it's in such a weird place, what
And-
it's for, but
yeah.
you know, they made those new baseball fields and whatever there, so I don't know if there's a way to get from the parking lot to there, there's a gate or what, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you, bring up another point that I just remembered. When you lived on Pine Street, next to the Blakeleys, there was the old housing project. Remember that?
Yeah,
The old housing
across the
project.
street, yeah.
Across the street, the old
wooden
housing
one,
project,
yeah.
the old wooden ones. And I don't know how many they had, but there were a whole bunch of
Yeah.
them. Do you remember those, Mary?
Oh, yeah. I met some, well, I was in the 5th grade there at Garfield, and this one kid that was there, he was Hawaiian, and Chinese Hawaiian, he was born in Hawaii, and his parents worked at the Club Pago Pago.
Oh.
Remember that nightclub
yes,
they had
yes,
there?
yes, yes, yes.
And the father was playing steel guitar or something in the
Ukulele
band,
or
in the
something?
band, and the mother danced. And he was an only child, and so I got to know all the Hawaiians. And so one day I invited them all to the house, and here I come up the driveway with all these Hawaiians barefoot. And my mom and dad like, what is she doing now? I said, oh, these are my Hawaiian friends.
And they lived in the projects?
Yeah.
The ones that were
That
entertainers
all were,
at
yeah,
the
they were
Pago
all
Pago?
entertainers, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where they lived.
I'll
And so
be
we
there.
became really good friends, and
Uh-huh.
my mom and dad, you know, would always have them over, and they would have them over. And as a matter of fact, Gil and I, when we went to Hawaii, he was over there with the Air Force, and then I flew over to meet him. And I said, I'm going to look up my friend Paul. He used to play, you know, in the band. And so I looked in the phone book. My God, there was like 20 Paul Changs. So then I said, I'll look up Basil. There shouldn't be that many Basils. And I think there were 3. And the first one I hit it was him. And he said, well, let me give you my dad's phone number and that. He says, I got a lot of company right now from England, because they were pretty wealthy, and they sent him to school to England. And so I called him, and he said, oh, he was so excited. He says, meet me at such and such a corner at the mall, at a shopping center, and then you're going to follow me to the house, because you cannot leave a rental car. You come back and it'll be stripped to nothing. When they find a rental car, they strip it. So we're there, and it's pouring rain, and Gil says, how are you going to know this man? You haven't seen him in 30 years. I'll know him. So this Volkswagen bus drives up. This guy gets out, and I said, there he is. And I went, and sure enough, that was him. And then we hugged and everything, and he said, okay, follow me up to the house. So we went up there and met his previous wife had died of cancer, and he had remarried. And so then he said, we want to take you to this place to eat. And we went to this real nice restaurant. And then we went back to the house, and then he says, I'm going to play you some really good music, Trio Los Panchos.
Ah.
My dad had got him interested in that kind of music,
Ah.
and he loved it. He had all these albums, you know, And I said, isn't that something we came to Hawaii to listen to Trio Los Panchos?
But it's amazing that, that they live there at the old
Yes, in the
housing projects.
in the old housing project.
And they were all the entertainments at the Pago Pago
Yeah.
Club. And then you befriended all of them.
Yeah,
And they became semi-Mexicans.
right.
I'll be
Because they were
darned.
living with all the Mexicans. I think they were probably the only non-Mexicans in the projects there.
Did they go to school?
The
kids?
one, well, you went to school with some,
One
were
of
they
them.
from the club too?
Yeah.
That they went to, the one that Gil went to school with, she went, beautiful girl. She was a dancer and she went to a Harris company to buy something. And she went in barefooted and they chased her out of there. You know, you can't come in here barefooted. Well, she didn't know, you know, in Hawaii, they all go barefooted.
I'll be,
And finally, I guess somebody told her, no, you gotta wear shoes.
I'll be darned. What a small world, huh? You
Yes.
never know.
I
No.
know.
You never know. Yeah. Now, it's almost an hour that we've been chatting. Talking about, let me ask you, did I forget anything on my questions, list of questions? Gil, you have some notes there. You have some notes there. You want to go over your notes and see if I forgot anything?
Well, you asked me things that I did, and like my, you know, the school year between 45 and 40, and 44 and 45, it was, of course, the war was real heavy. And I went to school on Wednesdays, but I never attended classes because my job was I used to go to Garfield and Wilson Junior High and go to every room and collect the money and take the order for stamps. And when they, you know, do the stamps and when they had enough for a bond, so I collect them all, make it, then I go to the bank, every with my bike, or if my bike had a flat or something, I had to walk, going. And I used to buy all the stamps and more bonds and go back and distribute them at the Wilson or Garfield.
Oh, tell me, how did that work, Gil? You would go and collect,
The money and make a note who it was, the person, the student, and collect the money, and then I go to the bank and buy the stamps and bring them back to the student. So I did that for a whole year, and like I say, Wednesday I went to school but never attended class. That was
see.
my job because I used to go to both Garfield and Wilson and collect all the money, the stamps, go to the bank, buy the stamps, and then go back and distribute them to individuals. And when they had enough for a bond, then I have to go back. Well, next Wednesday when I go, I used to buy the bond for them, bring in the
Ah.
bond to them. So that was kind of
and you did that for a full year?
for a full year, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like I say, I went to school every Wednesday, but never attended class for the whole year. 'Cause that
And the
was
bonds were how much?
$18.75 for a $25 bond. I remember that, it's $18.75. And they used to, students could buy as many as 10 cents of the stamp and collect them until they got $18.75.
Okay.
Then I go back and buy a bond for them and,
Gil, talking about the bonds, do you remember rationing?
oh yes.
Tell me about rationing.
Well, during the war it was rationing on certain items. Like I remember meat products, you could only buy meat on maybe 3 days a week or something like that, and they were limited in what you could buy. But it was, it
Isn't
wasn't
it
that,
flour and sugar too?
yeah, other commodities were, and it wasn't too restrictive, but it was kind of cut back on, you know, on what you could buy and all that. And it was during the war years, yeah.
How about gasoline?
You restricted, you only allowed, can't remember, I think it was 10 gallons a week or something like that. You had to have stamps. You buy the stamps and then you had to use the stamps to, not like money, but to buy 10 gallons of gas. You said the money, you had to have the stamps that allowed you to buy them. Because they were restricted, you couldn't just buy a gas for going riding, and not just use it to go to work and back, or go to school and back.
Okay, okay. And you mentioned your kangaroo shoes that your mom took.
Yeah.
Now, where did people do their shopping, Gil?
At that time, there were 2 stores in Colton, primary,
Hellman's?
Hellman's.
Brills?
And Brittles.
Willits?
Willits.
And Willits.
That's about the only ones.
Uh-huh.
And of course, it was real popular at the time to order things from the Sears catalog.
Okay.
Sears catalog was like a Bible. Every time the new one came out, man, it was a Bible.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Stater
Now,
Brothers.
where would you get the catalog? Would they,
They would send it to you. You apply for it and send it to. You get one from Sears and also Montgomery Ward also had a
Okay.
catalog, and you could order through the mail.
so a lot of people would buy out of the catalog?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I learned the first COD. You order the stuff, cash on delivery.
Uh-huh.
When they deliver stuff, you have to have the cash to pay for them.
Okay, okay. I'll be darned. So it was a kind of like an Amazon back then?
Yeah. Not quite that fancy.
Yeah, yeah. Anything that I left out from your notes, Gil? Look at your notes again. Anything that I left out?
And we all shopped at Stater Brothers.
I was gonna ask you
I
about.
think that was the only grocery store,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Then finally they got a Safeway.
Safely. The Safeway didn't remain open too long. That's a few years and it closed.
But I remember shopping at Cervantes,
Yeah. Cervantes and
Esperanza,
Martinez
Martinez Bakery.
Bakery, but they also had groceries there.
Yeah, the
And
tortilla factory next to it,
that's where you should kind of shop.
La Calle Siete.
Casi
Yeah, Doña
Okay.
Lala that had
But
tamales,
tamales.
tortillas.
El menudo on
What was
Saturday and
this?
Sunday.
Doña Lala Morales.
Oh, yes, across the street from, or close to the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She used to make some real good menudo.
She did?
Oh, yes. We used to, she only made it on weekends, I think, and you have to go buy it. You take your little pot, you go your little pot so you can fill it out for you.
Yeah, a few years ago I was at my brother's, and well, he passed away, but my sister-in-law, she had a party for one of my nephews that graduated from high school. And the table I sat at, they all worked at Stater's, and a couple of them were big, high-up guys in the warehouse. And so they started asking me, well, where do you shop? I said, well, I used to always shop at Stater's. Even before I got married, I shopped there with my mom. But I said, now I do most of my shopping at the commissary. I said, because we get everything cheaper and we don't pay any taxes at all. So I said, we go to the commissary about twice a month and $300-400 of groceries. And I said, then things that I need quickly, I get them at Stater's.
Well, you were like your father. Your father used to shop like that.
Yeah,
He'd get everything at the commissary.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that I forgot, Gil?
Well,
Mary?
like I said,
anything?
as a kid growing up, I got here to know that I used to have to, my parents were poor, so we had to, anything we wanted, we had to work for it. And I picked oranges, lemons, grapefruit, grapes, apricots, figs. Apricots we went to Hemet, figs we went up to Fresno.
Oh, you went to Hemet too?
Yeah. To,
For the 5 or 6 weeks that you...
yeah, that during the harvest of the
Yes,
apricots.
yes.
We used to go in the farmer, the rancher, the farmers would provide us tents and outhouses and amenities and showers. And we used to go live there and stay there and pick their crops and move on to the next ranch, and they do the same thing.
And you said you went up north, Central Valley, or?
Yeah, I went to Fresno. They used to have harvest for pigs, and so we used to go as a family up there, and they provided a tent and just enough to. I remember the stoves that they provided was a 55-gallon drum with a coal cut and stuff, and then dirt, and then rocks and for the wood and all
Like
that.
you'd see in La
And
Bamba,
and
the little camps that they had.
And the top was a griddle of a 55-gallon drum, and that was how we did our cooking.
So if California grew it, you picked it.
Yes, I picked 3 lemons, oranges, grapefruit, grapes, and I got a note here, onions, potatoes. Onions and potatoes were in the area of Nuevo.
Yes.
Okay, in that area, and of course figs. I hated to pick potatoes. Because you be, it's not a stoop labor, but it was stoop labor, but it wasn't what I hated. What I hated, sometimes you see a potato that looked good, you pick it up to put it in your sack, and then it was rotten at the bottom. Those stinky rotten potatoes are really stinky. And that's why I used to hate pick potatoes. But I picked onions and potatoes and grapes.
You said, where did we like to eat? Remember down on Valley Boulevard, way down, was Derby House?
Yes.
My dad loved to go there to eat. So on
And what was his
Sundays,
favorite plate?
steak, even though we ate that at home all the time. First time Gil took me out to a nice restaurant to eat, he says, what are you gonna have? And I said, I want a cheeseburger. A cheeseburger? You need to order a steak. I said, I eat steak at home every day. I don't want a steak.
Yeah, her father was really a steak and potato man.
Oh.
He eats steak and potatoes every day.
He'd raise a calf till it was big enough, have it slaughtered, and have it all steaks and roast. And there used to be a place in town where you got lockers and you rented them, and they put all your meat in there for you, and then when you wanted some, you went up and got it. And so that's what he did, and then he'd raise a pig, and then we'd have pork, and then that's all we ate.
Chickens, you all had chickens.
Till he bought a huge Amana freezer. I mean, that thing was huge. Then we didn't have to go up there anymore. We put it in our own freezer, and it just.
Well, you know, I do remember going with Freddie and your dad to the freezer. I think that was located on Mill Street in that
I don't
area.
remember where
He
it
also rented one up in Grand Terrace someplace, freezer.
And I said, why are we coming here? And they would tell me the story that your dad would buy the animal, slaughter it, and then just save the meat in the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to package it for him. They used to ask him how many you wanted, 2 or 3 steaks or roast or whatever. They used to package it and freeze it for him. But he used to raise calves, like maybe butcher them, put in the freezer. He had some pigs too that could grow up, butcher, put in the freezer. And of course, he always had chickens in the yard for eggs and chickens.
So, Mary, you is quite a family. Your
Yeah.
mom had a garden, a camellia garden.
No, my dad.
Your dad had a
He
camellia
had
garden.
over 1,000 camellia plants. He loved plants.
He's camellias was his specialty, and he used to grow them and he used to graft them. Like for us, he grafted one. They had 4 colors in the same plant: pink, red, variegated, and white. And they were the type they all bloom at the same time.
Uh-huh.
He did this, and so when it was blooming, it was a beautiful, beautiful plant. He had 4 colors of camellias on the plant. It was such a nice plant. And they had a plant, of course, camellias you have to kind of shade on the north side of the house. So we had them on the north side of the house. When we finally had to buy a air conditioner because the kids had allergies. And the one place they located to put the air conditioner, and it's still there. We put it there, and they had to move the camellia plants. And they moved the other ones. The others survived, in fact, they're still there. But the one that he prepared for was variegated, and the combination, that one didn't make it, that one died. And I was so sad about that, because he was a nice, he did it, and he grafted them, and he picked them so they bloom at the same time. So here's this plant. When they're blooming, they had pink, red, white, and a variegated one, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful
Well, I
plant.
remember your mom used to sell them for boutonnieres.
Yeah.
For graduation.
corsages,
And
too.
corsages.
Yeah.
And corsages.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
You can keep these pictures because Dominic printed them up last night.
Okay,
That's what he said. That
okay.
Mr. Acosta's the one that got me into photography.
This was,
See, Frank, tremendous influence. Now,
this
let
was
me ask you
Dominic.
one last question
We
of
got a
both
lot
of you.
those.
Well,
Did
Let
you
me,
write-
yeah,
write the
we can
name?
keep that one. Yeah, we like it. Well, let me ask you one last question of both of you. Both lifelong residents of Colton. What was the best thing about living in Colton?
Well, like when we bought our house, he was going to UCR, and we looked at houses in Riverside, and we couldn't find anything we really liked. And then we decided we needed to get a used house that had a yard in it, because he didn't have time to put a yard in. So we found that one on Valencia for sale sign, so we stopped. And it was, the owner was one of the Smiths from the Smith Flower Shop. And so that's how and then we said, this house is, we need to buy it. Elementary school's here, junior high's up the street, the high school's down the street. So we had one boy at the time, and so we said, that way the kids can all go to school right here. So that was a big selling point, because the schools were all walking distance.
So schooling was one of
Yeah.
the best things
Yeah.
in Colton. And the high school was just down the street
Down
too.
the street, yeah.
How about for you, Gil? What was the best thing about living in Colton? Or the worst thing?
Well, the best thing was I met a lot of real good friendly people. Real good friendly people.
Except the neighbors next door. They
Uh,
didn't like Mexicans.
The worst thing, I can't really think of anything could be worse. I enjoy living in Colton. School was good to me. Unfortunately, growing up, there was still a lot of prejudice that existed at the time. Like going to high school, I was the first Chicano or Mexican American that was ever in a student council in the high school. I was the first one. I broke that barrier.
Uh-huh.
Just like I broke a barrier going and becoming a pilot.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm the only one pilot that never grew up in South Colton. I think
Uh-huh.
I'm the only one. And
So it was good living in Colton because of family
Family,
Family
yeah.
and
It was-
friends
yeah,
and good opportunities.
there was, like I said, there was prejudice at the time, but I think they existed everywhere.
Well, prejudice was, that's the way it was.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So people accepted that. That's the way it is.
and that used to upset me in those days because, especially when I came back from being in the Korean War, I came back and I think that we needed to be treated equals. None of this prejudice stuff, and that upset me
Yeah.
in those days.
Yeah,
But that was at that time that was life.
yeah, yeah. Well, Gil and Mary, thank you so much for being
Oh,
with us this
you're welcome.
afternoon. Thoroughly enjoy our hour and a half
Yeah.
together. And it brought back lots and lots of memories. Lots of memories. And then also, the Hawaiians being part of our cult history
Yeah.
also.
And the projects.
And then when you visit them in Hawaii, they were Bolero, Los Panchos
Los
fans.
Panchos, yeah.
So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Thank you.